Now, another place where we really want to develop more self-managing is when students are self-assessing, because this is a great opportunity for them to know where they are. And just as we see this little girl and we all know how we feel, am I getting taller? How many inches have I grown? I want to know. I want to be big. I want to think that I can, reach to the top. So we're always thinking about how we improve, and self-assessing is a serious part of self-direction, growing that. And so here are some examples now of teachers who provide this for students. Now you notice this is a math rubric example and it's for grades 2 to 5. So that's rather nice because in this school, what they decided was we're going to use this rubric, grades 2 to 5, meaning every year we're going to keep reinforcing it. This is really what we believe is the best math problem-solving tool that we can provide for them. So notice they started with the learning goals. They said, we need to understand, you see that this is a problem-solving routine. I need to understand the problem. I need to plan to solve the problem. I need to use mathematical language. I need to be able to explain, and I need to really make sure that the answer matches up and makes sense. Now, I should say to you, because I'm showing you so many examples, I put all of these in this slideshow is in a PDF for you, and it's in your resources with this keynote. So you'll be able to go to all of these and blow them up and see what's in here and read the details of it. I encourage you to go ahead and adapt. If these are things, anything in here that makes sense to you, every teacher is sharing this gracefully and gratefully, saying, I have learned from others, I'm sharing my ideas with you. So feel free. I think we all as teachers share well with one another using and developing these ideas. But I want to point out something really important, and that is, notice the language across the top of this rubric. I'm a novice, meaning, gee, I'm just starting, and I need the problem. I read the problem, but I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And then emerging, I read the problem, I tried to figure it out, but I couldn't figure out what was important. And then we get to proficient. I read the problem and identified what was important. And finally, in exemplary, I read the problem, identified what was important, and the ideas behind it. Now notice that it's a progression. And again, it moves from gradually becoming more self-directed and also knowing where I am in the scale from a beginner. Remember the learning pit. If I believe that the backstory is that you don't get to exemplary without going through some of the steps, that exemplary is kind of, I'm there and I got it. But the backstory is often, I need to think about it. I need to read the problem better. I need to understand what was important. And then I'm making my way out of the pit. And now I'm reading the problem, identifying what it was, and knowing what's important. I also want to point out to you that I think that the language of novice to exemplary is a better language, in my opinion, in terms of the message that we give students. Sometimes I see the message being, awesome, you got it, you're great, awesome. And I'm a little concerned sometimes that those awesome counterpoint to, not yet, you're not there yet, I think kind of sometimes delivers a message to students that I may never be awesome. I sure wish I could be awesome. I'm just suggesting that we pay attention to the descriptors in a rubric that deliver a message to students and to make sure that they are as inclusive as possible. And also always, I share that learning pit with students, teachers do all the time. It makes sense. There are lots of other examples of learning pits. If you Google learning pit, you'll see lots of other graphics. But I think it's really important for students to know we all go down the pit. So don't ever say, this is so hard, I'll never get it, because we all go down the pit. The smartest kid in the class has gone down the pit for something and knows what it means to struggle. So this is lovely because this can show how you progress over time. When you have this grades 2 through 5, you'll see that this works, but the complexity of the problems that you're being asked to do really also demand more from you. So although you may have been exemplary last year, you may not be exemplary this year because, again, you're in the pit of new learning. Here's another one. This is Scott Wright, who's a 6th grade teacher in New York State. And here's what he's done. He's taken the standards from New York State. And what he's done is he said, okay, got it. And what he does is a not yet to got it. And he does it as a scoring procedure. I get not yet, I'm in the red, I really don't have it yet. I get +2, I get 3, I get 3+, or I get 4. Now notice what I think is really important. He also marries the habits of mind to what he's doing. So he says, for example, in this standard, gather important information and quote or paraphrase details clearly and accurately in your own words. And then he says, I can, and his I can statements are, I can take responsible risks by sharing ideas and questions with the reader of my notebook. I can read with understanding and empathy. So notice that he's taking it and again, gather and use grade level words and subject matter vocabulary to express understanding. Now notice the I can. I can collect data and then reflect, think about my thinking. I can think and communicate with clarity and precision. Now, the other thing that he does that I think is interesting is he has the students do the self-assessment, my score, and then the teacher score. Now, what I have seen happen very often is the kids tend to underestimate, not overestimate in self-assessment. Very often they think they're not doing as well as we might think they're doing. We might see them coming along very well and they may feel, oh, I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. So if you find that the teacher score and the student score doesn't match, it's a fabulous opportunity for a conference because there are a couple of things that can happen in such a conference. The first is because it's standards-based, you can check to see, do they understand the standard? If you unpack it into the work that they're doing, is it clear? Is it evident? Perhaps one of the reasons they're not doing well is because they don't really get what this is saying. Maybe they don't even understand the word paraphrase. Maybe they really need to hear more about what this means. So that's an opportunity to do some coaching. And then the other piece of this is if you think they're doing better than what they think, you can point it out. You know, I'm just wondering why you gave yourself a 2+ and I gave you a 3. So I'm curious to know, what did you see? What was the evidence that you looked at in your work that suggested a 2+? And then here's what I saw as evidence that suggested a 3. And that way, again, you're giving them a better understanding of what you're looking for in the work and how to become more accurately and efficiently self-assessing, and also not being afraid to just say, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm getting there. It's a struggle, but I am getting there. And we all need that. We all need to learn how to pat ourselves on the back, to feel better about the fact that we're almost. And that very often it takes a lot till you get to that green. I got it. I know it. I understand this now. And sometimes got it is very ephemeral because you get it in this situation and it doesn't transfer to the next. Learning is complex, as we all know. So when you learn to be more self-assessing, when you begin to see the habits of mind that support your assessing, when you begin to see how that works for you in terms of your learning, you're beginning to build the growing habits for self-managing and self-monitoring, and then finally managing how you think about that. Another example we have is from grade 2.